This is not a photo. This is just a screenshot of Flight Simulator 2020, a wonderful game about nothing and about anything. There's no story besides the one in your head, and the only goals are the ones you set for yourself in a journey of discovery, understanding, and... Oh, it crashed again. It's a game that isn't so much about playing it, but more about admiration for aircrafts and planet Earth, and also technology. Very impressive, very demanding technology. Oh, and there's that simulator part too. You begin by selecting an aircraft and a departure point. You can pick one of the recommended airports, but you can also look up the coordinates of anywhere in the world and start from there. The entire world is open to you, from all the way here in Portugal to the USA or the United Kingdom or Japan. Even North Korea is here. Flight Simulator comes at a rather convenient time, given that whole pandemic thing that has invaded our lives this year and has taken the tourism industry on a nosedive. And even if it's eventually defeated, people are going to be apprehensive about traveling for a while. In the meantime, we can all take a virtual trip in a virtual plane through a virtual representation of our world. This latest iteration of the Flight Simulator series can be described as Google Maps with planes. It uses data from Microsoft's own Bing instead of Google Maps, of course, but you get the idea. If you're not sure where to go, just pick any of the recommended airports and see where the scenery takes you. Maybe recall a place you've heard of somewhere that piqued your curiosity. Or maybe you could pay a virtual visit to a friend living far away. Why not go see the Statue of Liberty? Or Christ the Redeemer? Or the Eiffel Tower? Why not go see the remnants of Chernobyl? Or the spooky red balls in France? That's one of the appeals of Flight Simulator. Many famous landmarks have been recreated in high fidelity for your perusal, and also to take a ton of screenshots, which, being a screenshot addict, I did. Aren't bright lights beautiful during nighttime? You know, with the dark tones contrasting against the blips and lines of lamps and streetlights? Must be a fantastic experience with a VR headset. Maybe it's just a tiny bit different from being there in person, but exploring the planet has never been this easy and relaxing. It doesn't even cost near as much as plane tickets and hotel rooms, especially if you play through Xbox Game Pass, though Microsoft is already balls deep in the idea of raising prices. Of course, creating a digital copy of the entire planet by hand just isn't going to happen. Instead, the developers used a mix of geographical data, handmade assets, photogrammetry, and a complicated AI algorithm to create everything you see. Cities like New York are incredibly detailed and contain multiple recognizable landmarks. A few others are mostly AI generated using satellite data and a few handmade assets. The rest are basically computer generated 3D models based on what the algorithm thinks it's supposed to look like, which can be fine at a distance, but obviously only vaguely resembles the real thing. This results in abnormalities like the underside of bridges being solid, roads going underwater, or random buildings with weird textures and shapes. The illusion falls apart as you approach ground level, where you see the generic low polygon buildings and the limits of the textures grabbed from Bing's map data. And you pay the price in system requirements. Flight Simulator heats up my PC in ways that only rendering videos like this usually does, and even today's strongest PCs struggle at maximum settings. Prepare for stuttering and long loading times, for the game is constantly downloading and streaming data from the cloud. In fact, the entire planet's data apparently comes up to 2 petabytes. It's even worse with simulated air traffic, which, yeah, that's a thing. Besides simulating some really pretty clouds, you can set the weather and air traffic to reflect what is actually happening this very moment. If you see an airplane flying above you, chances are you can see it in the game too. Of course, the CPU side would likely benefit greatly from Microsoft launching this flagship next-generation game with DirectX 12 instead of 11, but at least it's confirmed to come one day. Hopefully also with improvements to the interface, because it's a piece of crap that spazzes out when I have my controller connected, and it couldn't even install itself properly before the first patch, and now it has a tendency to crash at random. Speaking of which, the crashing physics are as basic as they get, so if that's what you're interested in, well, yeah, enjoy the awkward bouncing. Still, these recreations of Earth are one of the most amazing things mankind has ever created, and the more elaborate the technology gets, the more mind-blowing it is to me. AI and machine learning show so much promise that I can't imagine what they could do in the future. Imagine an open world in the vein of Grand Theft Auto, but based on an improved version of this technology. A fully fledged interactive recreation of our world, but like a video game. Imagine if it had detailed destruction physics. Or it could even be used for education, as a sort of digital road trip. I have been using AI upscalers such as Waifu2X for a while now to try and improve low-resolution assets for my videos, but that's only the tip of the iceberg. AI upscalers can create high-resolution texture packs for old games as a quick and dirty remaster of sorts, and it could one day make text translation an easy-peasy task. It can even be used to improve our experience in video games. Nvidia's DLSS has become nothing short of impressive, and Microsoft's DirectML API provides tools for other companies to make use of these techniques. The new Xbox apparently even has some sort of machine learning resolution scaling. It's going to take a long time before Flight Simulator's world gets even remotely close to matching the real thing. Only a very small portion of the planet is actually faithful to its real-life counterpart. Many notable places are recreated by hand, but everything else is magicked up by AI, and it's less than perfect. Even if the developers worked non-stop on creating everything by hand for the next 10 years, I seriously doubt that we'd get a perfect copy. So it would be more efficient to rely on improving the AI algorithm and the map data. But how far is our society willing to go? Isn't it kind of scary how people managed to take photos and digitize all of the planet and it's freely available to anyone? How I could very easily go on Google Maps and see a complete stranger's house on the other side of the world? Like the street right outside your window? Services like Google Maps are endlessly useful. So many times I had to go somewhere I wasn't familiar with, so I looked it up on Google Maps to find out how to get there and what I was looking for. I'm not here to sell you conspiracy theories or anything, but at what point do you draw the line? And what about sensitive subjects like natural disasters or big accidents? The map data for the majority of the world is several years old, which means that Beirut is intact in the game. Would it be in bad taste to update the city into the unfortunate state it is in now? All I can say is, it's going to be interesting to look back at this game in 10 years, when Microsoft ends support. Nobody knows what the future holds, and 2020 has been a prime example of that. But if the developers let old versions of the map be usable, it could serve as a memory box of sorts. A virtual, explorable time capsule, reminding us of what we have lost, but also of what we have gained.